some of the great performances, because there were a couple big-time games from big-time freshmen yesterday. We'll start with Koa Peat, obviously from Arizona, goes for 37 rebounds, 5 assists in a win over the defending champs, Florida. Tyler, let me start with you, because I think we're some of these freshmen right now, and I think all of us remember our first game, but there are certain brands, there are certain level of attention, there's certain level of expectation that are just different. Arizona's in that similar class to Carolina, and this young man showed up in a way in a really competitive game that was super impressive. What did you take away from Pete's performance?
Well, the most impressive thing is that he did it against a quality opponent in Florida. It's not like he put up these numbers or did these stats against, Central Arkansas. But I think the most impressive thing is how impactful on the game he is in multiple levels, like defensively, assists, rebounds. He can impact the game in many different ways. He's not just a one-dimensional player. But also, I will say this, a lot of freshmen usually kind of find their rhythm kind of mid-season. Usually this first part of the season is where, some freshmen kind of struggle because they're playing against more athletic, bigger guys. And then you start to get your rhythm, get used to that, and start to find your game a little bit. But some of these freshmen are coming out right from the gate and having big-time performances. And I would say the most impressive thing is that he did against Florida, a quality opponent.
Yeah, I mean, like Mike, when you watch this game, and as it was kind of ebbing and flowing back, I mean, Arizona started pretty poorly, and then they kind of inserted themselves in the game. Defensively, they're better. Florida couldn't guard them in the middle pick and roll, and I thought the Wildcats just abused them in different actions, just in that middle part of the floor. Were you at all surprised to see him kind of take this game over down the stretch? He, along with Bradley, made some really big plays the last 12 minutes to give him a win.
I wasn't necessarily surprised. I think we know how decorated Koa Peat was coming into this year. I think he just kind of gets lost in the shuffle when you think about those top three guys that are the 2026 draft prospects up top. And then you have the Caleb Wilsons and the Koa Peats and some of those guys, if you want to call it, in that second tier. But I loved what Tommy Lloyd did early in that game. I think it was, a little bit later or middle of the first half where he just – he ran a really nice action up top, high ball screen, got Pete diving to the rim, and then Karchenkov came off an exit screen on the baseline from Krivas, and they just threw the lob up top to Pete. I thought that settled him in, and then I just thought they kept things simple. I mean, just you don't need to overcomplicate things. You just short rolls in the middle third of the floor, and it didn't matter what levers Florida tried to pull. You try to get physical with him, he spins off you. You try to get physical with him, he fades away. You back off him, he eats up the space. And all that stuff I thought built, and Florida got so hyper vigilant on Pete that at the end of the game, it was time for Bradley to close. And there was one part at the end of that game that I thought was really indicative of just the gravity that Pete had. And it's, I think, 79-76 must-stop situation for Florida. And Tommy Houck had 30 blocks last year. 12, probably half of those coming from the weak side helping over. And he's got Pete on the low block. Bradley snakes the ball screen. Krivas hits a great Gortat screen for Bradley to get to the rim. And Houck just stays put. Doesn't come over for the weak side block. Bradley gets a point-blank layup. So just like that type of – we see Bradley get the layup, but that's still Pete's impact from all the work that he did leading up to that point. So just pretty unbelievable. So to do it not only just against a high major opponent, but to do it against a front court I think we all think is the best front court in America. They retained that front court, and it's a front court that helped them win a national championship. So it's a pretty impressive debut.
The fact that Arizona only took, two of 5 from 3?
5.
Is that even allowed? I didn't even think
that's
was
like when you go
anymore.
Look at the 2004 Pistons Spurs box score in the finals. That's like those are the 3-point attempts in those.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm sitting here watching it, looking at it. I'm like, my God, only 5. Here's the thing with, and you guys might not remember this name, but Tyler, you might. Kyle Hines. You guys know this name?
Come on.
Like Kyle Hines, one of the greatest EuroLeague players of all time. Legitimately, like played at UNC Greensboro, but he was built like Koa Peat. The problem was he was like 6'3.5", 6'4". They are the exact same human, except Koa Peat is 5 inches taller. And what I really appreciate about Koa Peat's game is that he keeps it simple. He doesn't try to overexert you because he has more skill than he lets on a lot of times, but he stays within himself. And then what ends up happening, the NBA people, when you look at guys like that, like he's going to be he's going to be a pretty polarizing guy because he's not super tall. Is he going to be able to guard on the perimeter consistently? I think yes to all these answers, but still, like, I think that's the reason he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle. The crazy part about it is he's so physically gifted as far as how strong he is. They're going to win so many games, and he's going to be able to control college games right away this season. And it's not just going to be against Florida. It's going to be through the entire Big 12 schedule. And, LaTulip talks about, well, it's the short roll and his decision-making, NBA calls it a seam pass, whatever. Like him being able to manage those things. And when people start to collapse, they're going to have to hit shots. That's going to change a little bit. But to go for 30 points, 7 and 5 is huge in your first game. But I think it goes back to the fact that he does keep it so simple. I think a lot of freshmen, by and large, like they get a little bit too mixed up in their own stuff. And he's keeping it within a couple of dribbles. He's making the easy pass. And then some of the things, like, he's just stronger than you. And there's nothing you can do about it.